Hi students, chapter 12. This is a big chapter, busy chapter. We've got a lot of material in it. I'll try to cover the high points in this presentation here, but there's a lot of stuff. I'm just going to direct you towards the chapter to be able to understand it. We're looking at how do we develop an effective integrated marketing communications mix? How do we put together all the marketing communications pieces to make it effective for our target market? So let's go ahead and look at some of these issues. The different components that we're going to be looking at here would be things like advertising, sales promotions, direct marketing, cyber marketing, personal selling, and public relations or publicity. These are all aspects of that mix for integrated marketing communications. So first thing I want to look at is what kind of objectives do we have for the coming year? And I want to have some kind of direction, motivation. So I got to make it measurable and realistic if I want people to be motivated. I could look at it short-term, less than a year, long-term, more than a year. And the objectives would be things like, how do I position myself against my competitors? How do I position myself in people's minds? What kind of sales increases are we trying to talk about here? What types of communications are we going to use? Are we going to be exclusively online? Are we going to have some changes with the advertisements we're making? Are we going to now go into print instead of just having it on online, etc.? Those would be examples of the objectives I would come up with and then to tie numbers to be able to track. I want to look at the budget. Of course, there's a lot of different goals that are going on, so it makes it difficult to do the budget. But we've got to come up with a budget. You have to have some numbers to dollar numbers to tie things to. We could do it off a percentage of sales, percentage of profit, the objective of the task, follow the leader, all you can afford, best guess, just wing it. These would all be examples of methods of budgeting. The book goes through it. I think this is kind of an interesting way of looking at it. How do I develop that strategy? So I look for and come up with a key fact, and I state it. I identify and list all the key marketing and retail marketing problems or opportunities that are out there. I identify and list the key objectives of my marketing communication. And then I develop and list a creative platform or creative strategy, and then I come up with my strategy essentials. So the key fact is identify the main consumer or the main store problem. That's my key fact. Write it down in the consumer's language and not in the language that they want to understand. So, we want to provide the highest levels of customer service in the florist industry. People can understand that. Something we're talking about the Florists Association Consumer Service Index, they aren't going to understand. Key marketing problem or opportunity. So it might be some kind of an opportunity or problem that I've based on my previous research, what I've identified. So again, these would be things I'd be looking at and trying to figure out how do we phrase this, how do we set this out there and be able to run after correcting it or improving it. Key objectives, what's the outcome, what's my target market like, and what are the guidelines that I'm going to be going through to be able to develop these objectives. So this creative platform, it's going to be things like my target market, what the major components are going to be, reasons why they should purchase, and a promise that they're going to get the best customer service or whatever it is I'm trying to come up with here if they make this purchase. Strategy essentials would be things like logos, the taglines, legal requirements. I have to show things legally and do things legally, and it'd be both creative and non-creative information. Advertising. Let's talk about advertising first of all. So this is non-personal mass communication. That's what we mean by advertising. So usually it's paid for by an identified sponsor, and it would be things like magazines, radio, television, online. We've got a way of developing an advertising plan. So again, I'm going to let you, think about this when you're reading it through in the book. Sales promotions, the second way of doing it. So what's a sales promotion? Give me an example of a sales promotion. That would be things like contests or sweepstakes, specialty items, game shows, point of purchase communications. These would be examples of sales promotions that are there. Direct marketing, another way of doing my marketing communications. Direct marketing. Customized. So where ads were not customized, direct marketing is customized for the person I'm trying to sell to. And I maybe reach out directly to that person, and it might be in the mail, it might be telemarketing, it might be some kind of customer loyalty program. I've got some kind of chat or interchange that I'm interface that I'm able to talk with them in regards to whatever it is I want to offer to try to get them to purchase. Those would be direct marketing. Cyber marketing, in this case, would be internet-based, email marketing, etc. Personal selling, very expensive, very effective. Personal selling, face-to-face, person-to-person. A salesperson in a store, good example of personal selling. Very flexible, very expensive, as I mentioned. A lot of training goes into it, but it really is reflective of high-quality customers service. Retailer image would be considered to be up there somewhere if you've got a lot of people on the floor, staff that are able to do a good job. Public relations, this would be something that I get various bodies of the public to cooperate with me, have positive relations with the media, and with both inside and outside. Can be controlled or uncontrolled, positive or negative. It's much more credible than advertising, by the way, and it involves reputation management. So we have a whole, you can get a major here at Ohio Dominican in the undergrad program in this particular field. So this is a big area, very interesting area, and it's part of the marketing communications. Once we've done these things, we want to evaluate that. Did it work or not? And what worked, what didn't? And why didn't it work? Let's talk a little bit about store layout. Have you ever walked in a store and thought, why is it laid out this way? Well, we're trying to develop some kind of an atmosphere usually. We're trying to allow it to be easy to shop in. We're trying to maximize the productivity of the floor space of the floor space in the store. So if I've got it so that I can go in quickly and get out quickly, I'm not going to be spending a lot of time shopping there. Maybe I want to increase it though. Maybe I want to set the things that I want people to buy way back in the back, so they have to go through all this other stuff that they may buy on the way there. I might have it set up in such a way that they go around it in a counterclockwise way. That's usually the way it is here in the United States. You usually go around the store in a counterclockwise pattern for whatever reason. That's what we picked. Productivity. How do I stock things in such a way that I'm making good use of the floor space that I've got there to be most productive and people will be buying? So how do I get the floor space to actually help generate the desired results? All of these are aspects of that integrated marketing communications.